Hello and welcome, Rangers. I'm Joe here with me, my co-host Stan.
Hello and greetings.
We're going to be slicing this scene in half because there's really two parts to this. You have the initial one, and you've got the later one. Where the first half deals with Zedd and Rita. The second half with Goldar and his cousin. So to start with, Rita and Zedd show themselves to be aware of Phaedos. That's an interesting lore detail. So this is obviously a place they're familiar with and they know about. Now, obviously they felt so comfortable with Phaedos as it is that they didn't feel they needed to go and destroy it or something to deny the Rangers access to those powers. Bear in mind, nobody's ever tried. Well, everybody has tried, nobody's succeeded. I should word it that way. And no Ranger ever has tried. And, of course, Rita is the one who exclaims, they're going after the great power. Immediately guessing because of the direction in which they're teleporting, which is a little weird that she knows, she can immediately guess. But, she basically says, I thought you said this guy was going to, do the job. Well, so much for that. And she starts nagging, and you have Zedd who basically tells her, quiet. Like, he's basically like, oh, shut up. And, of course, Ivan shows up and mocks him, saying, hi, honey, I'm home. At which point, Rita's out on him. I'd say Karen's out, but you see, there's pecking order to this. There's Karen, then there's Rita Repulsa. So Rita's out on him, and Ivan just flings some of his slime at her mouth to seal it closed because can you blame him?
It's like, thank you.
I like how Zedd is just like, finally someone shuts her up. As though he's wanted that more than killing the Power Rangers. The way he just says it is just like, oh my gosh. This guy despises his wife on some level. Who could blame him? I love this dysfunctional couple. They are dysfunctional.
They're dysfunctionally functional.
Yeah. And of course, Ivan immediately says, your incompetence stuns me. He criticizes them and whatnot. And then says, I think we need a new leader here. And I elect me. Because of course he does. And this is when Zedd starts to get angry. Okay, let me rephrase that. Because Zedd is always angry. And because he's always angry, he gets angrier, or angriest, at Ivan. And pretty much demands, who does he think he's dealing with? And we have to bear in mind, Zedd does not tolerate any insults. None insult him with impunity. And he, blasts at Ivan. Probably with enough power to even kill a Power Ranger. And Ivan starts laughing. So I remember being a kid and just being chilled and shocked by this. This was good shock effect, where it was just like, and yes, pun intended, where, when Zedd was introduced, he was the ultimate force of evil. And suddenly we're looking at him basically being treated like he's a child by Ivan, who just, he's unaffected. It even tickles him. Like the lightning literally tickles him. And this is what I like about how when Zedd's finished blasting him, you can almost see him just staring in astonishment. Because if he had blasted Zordon, if he had blasted even Tommy like that, he'd have killed them. If he had blasted any minion, they'd be dead. If he had blasted, let's say, any Power Ranger throughout history, they're dead. No one could survive that kind of blast. And Ivan's just sitting there laughing and cackling at him and mocking him. I don't blame him for kind of just staring, and you can almost see the gears turning. Like he's like, "What have I done? Like this guy's way more powerful than. No, this isn't supposed to happen. He's way more powerful than what he should be. Yes, I wanted someone very powerful to kill the Rangers and whatnot for me, but I didn't think he'd be this powerful." So that we actually see how Lord Zedd completely and totally miscalculated. You know what I mean? Just he kind of miscalculated the entire situation.
It's the Lord Zedd let his hatred lead him rather than his reason.
Yeah. Weirdly, I'm going to actually defend Zedd and say this isn't a mistake he normally makes.
And a mistake that cost him dearly.
Yeah, because he loses the fight.
He loses the fight. He is lucky he wasn't killed outright.
Yeah, and let's bear in mind, Ivan could have done that.
But here we see Ivan's arrogance.
Yeah, because he doesn't kill them. He just puts them in a snow globe to mock them.
Because
he doesn't think enough about them to kill them.
He's arrogant. Rita pretty much said they're after the great power.
You need to go after them.
Ivan Ooze dismissed it.
But he also can't go after them into that dimension. But then Rita does say, you failed at your job. Do something, doofus. We cannot allow the Rangers to get that great power. And I suspect that there's a barrier on that planet that prevents those who are as powerful and evil as Ivan, Zedd, and Rita from getting in too far. You know what I mean? And the problem is, Ivan doesn't take her seriously. But as much as she was being a Rita, she's not wrong. Like, even Zedd, although he was like, oh my gosh, thank you for shutting her up, Zedd himself was recognizing, yeah, okay. But it's interesting that, as always, she nags, but what she's nagging him about, does Zedd already know and agree with? Yes. He's like, yes, I know the Phaedos thing is really bad, and we don't want that to happen. But, just shut up. I'm trying to think here. And I would argue, I'm going to say something weird. This was also a big mistake on another point for Ivan. Ivan is not as bright as Zedd. Zedd knows what they're dealing with far more, and Zedd is far smarter. Ivan has so much power that, it doesn't matter, but Zedd probably would have dispatched someone like Goldar to the planet of Phaedos to stop the Rangers, while also dispatching Serpentera to guard the area. Serpentera to guard. He can't blast at the planet, I'm assuming, or else he would have already done it. But he can at least maintain a watch over things and keep them from teleporting out. While Goldar goes onto the planet, and even Rita, if he has to, maybe she can get to some parts of the planet, because bear in mind, she's tackling at a far lower power level than, Zedd. Or what he could do is dispatch 3 or 4 monsters alongside whatever Ivan throws in there, and Goldar's to lead the charge. So this would be an entire little army. Just dispatch all that, and maybe even someone like Divatox or something, since we know she exists. And she's not roaming about until, Zedd and Rita pretty much lost a good chunk of their empire. But it wouldn't be too hard for him to dispatch her or someone else of that power scale onto the planet. My point is just, maybe for Zedd and Ivan, it's impossible. But for others at a lower power level, they can go in. So, I'm actually going to give Zedd props and say he probably would have done something like that. Okay, well, we've got your birds. We've got Goldar. We throw these at them, along with a couple of stronger flunkies of mine and Rita's. And, we go for Phaedos. Because the Rangers are depowered, can they fight these kind of forces? No, they'd have been killed. This is the key difference between Zedd and Ivan. I'm going to actually argue something a little weird. Ivan is lazy, and his sloth gets the better of him. I know there's a lot that can be said about Zedd, but is he slothful? No.
'Cause Ivan thinks the Power Rangers, it's all the tech, the weapons, and everything that make them.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't need to go after them. I mean, come on, the planet will do it for me. Along with my flunkies.
And Zedd, he's learned time and time again that that he's removed the morphers from the Rangers.
Several times.
And it still didn't
Stop them. Now, Zordon's out of the way and broken. Alpha's broken. There's no power. Zedd does not underestimate his enemies. And I'll actually give him credit. You know, when he destroyed the Green Ranger powers, he demonstrated he did not underestimate the Rangers to a large extent. He, you know, like, he kept throwing enemy after monster, like, day after day. We got to bear in mind, the Rangers were used to, under Rita, morphing like twice a week. Or 3 times a week. No, it's probably like twice a week at most. Under Zedd, it was like once to 3 times a day. He was just lobbing monsters at them to destroy the Green Ranger powers. He did overwhelm them and kind of broke the battle spirit of sorts of 3 Rangers. He overwhelmed them psychologically and metaphysically with the Green Ranger powers. But here's the thing. This guy has actually conquered the Rangers a few times. And Ivan just throws him into a snow globe and says, like, I have to listen to you. You're weak. What do you know? Well, Ivan, he's been dealing with this for years. He knows what he's doing. Well, they're incompetent. Maybe, but they know what they're talking about. And you've broken them in under 24 hours in terms of powers. No, give Ivan his props. Here's the problem. He has his enemy in check. What does he then do? Starts moving his pieces away so that he doesn't have the enemy in check. Like, there's a move in chess where you move the bishop to one side and you have the queen on the other. You know, like, for a perfect checkmate. But he's got the bishop, and then he just decided he wouldn't move the queen because he just wants to laugh at his enemy. Well, what's going to happen after that? What do? You move your pawns in perfect coordination. You know, you get yourself out of the trap. You know what I mean? But Ivan is like, yeah, I could delay the victory. I could delay. You're procrastinating. You're not delaying, you're procrastinating. And we have to say one thing about Zedd. He does not procrastinate. Actually, Rita herself has said in quite a few episodes, he overworks himself. He is an emperor of evil who overdoes it. Because Zedd is paranoid that he's going to underdo the job. Frick. Even Goldar. I mean, remember with Serpentera, it's like, the sort of lights on this planet. This planet has massive amounts of power and energy here. If we do the wrong thing, we could end badly. What does Zedd just say? We fire now. He doesn't care.
Zedd is the type of villain that he doesn't gloat until the job is done.
Yeah. Whereas Ivan, all right, well, I beat them in a small skirmish. I won. So Ivan has way more power. Zedd has more brains. So putting him in the snow globe is the biggest strategic error and mistake Ivan makes. And I'm going to make a weird argument. Defeating Zordon was not when Ivan lost. That does not seal his fate. Destroying Alpha does not seal... failing to destroy Alpha does not seal his fate. The Rangers fleeing to Phaedos to retrieve the Great Power does not seal his fate. It's his refusal to listen to Zedd and sealing Zedd in that snow globe and making a mockery of him that seals Ivan's fate. Because while he wants to be on top, he needs to be. Yeah, and that's the danger of ego. But he cannot see that there could be other opinions and whatnot. Strategically, remember last time, 6,000 years ago, what did he do? Well, he went to create his Dephimorphicans and then, tried to destroy everything. But he got lured into a trap. He's doing the same thing. It's like, well, it didn't work the first time. I better do it again. What, are you kidding me? Like, if there's one thing we've learned from Lord Zedd, does he ever repeat the same strategy if it doesn't work? No. The only reason he overwhelmed the Rangers the first time was, oh, this was working pretty well for Rita. I'll just overdo. Mine are stronger, but I'm going to keep pouring it out there. I'm going to keep up what she's doing, but put it on steroids, while also checking for weaknesses. It worked pretty well for him. The reason he was somewhat put off by the second gen was they came in fresh. So Zedd was kind of like, oh, shoot, I got to reevaluate. I got to get to know these new Rangers because, these are new people and whatnot. And the trouble is Ivan, he's, he doesn't learn from the mistake. He's not strategizing. He's hitting it with a jackhammer. But the other difference is that I would argue Zedd is more like Yu Hakusho's Kurama. He wants to see everything his enemy could do before he deals the killing blow. Goku does that and Kurama does it. They don't do it because they like a good fight. The two of them don't actually like a really good fight, really. I know there's that whole meme about Goku liking fighting, but he actually doesn't. Rewatch DBZ, he doesn't really like it. He likes sportsmanship, basically boxing, martial arts tournaments, but death matches, not his thing. Goku really doesn't like it. But the thing is, strategically, he always lets his enemies spam everything they can do so he can know what they do, so he knows how to trigger a strategy against them. It's his go-to option. Same with Kurama. Zedd does that. He needs to see everything the Rangers could do before he can go in for the kill. Here's my opinion. There's a way these two could have worked together to killer effect. If they had cooperated, they would have won. But Ivan can't listen to someone else. His narcissism won't allow him. And he also cannot understand that removing Zedd from Zedd's Empire of Evil fractures the Empire. But Ivan doesn't care about that. He wants his Dephimorphicans. He wants to do the same thing as last time, start destroying the universe. But you're doing the exact same thing over again. The enemy knows your strategy. The Power Rangers know that's your strategy. They were told by Zordon. Zordon knows your strategy. Zedd actually knows your strategy. Everybody knows it. It's not a state secret. Well, his Dephimorphicans are really powerful. True. But they're not invincible. This is the difference. Zedd understands his enemies. Ivan doesn't even try. He failed last time, but thinks he can just get away with doing the same stunt again 1,000,000 times. It's really interesting. I'd even argue Ivan has more in common with Rita. Rita did that, and that's why she failed and she lost. She could not defeat the Green Ranger powers because she kept doing the same thing over again and giving rest time to the enemy. Zedd, the reason he conquered the green powers was because no rest time. You have a limited energy source? I can work with that. And I'm going to keep throwing it at you. Oh, Jason's getting angry and Jason's exhausted and heartbroken about the lost Green Ranger powers. I start throwing it in his face. And overwhelming him with more and more enemies. Oh, the only thing that shook him up was Tommy coming back with White Ranger powers. That completely undid a lot of his plans. But that's where we have to give the strategic props to Zordon. So, yeah, the snow globe thing, really dumb idea. It's funny, though. God, I think it's in the movie.
Earthquake! Earthquake!
I'm going to bet you that was Rita.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Anyways, we'll talk more in depth about the snow globe of losers next time on Shot for Shot Analysis. So don't forget to smash that like, that subscribe button. Check out our crowdfund in the comments section. Our Royal Road account in the comments section. Buy me a coffee, Patreon. Please consider supporting us beyond just the channel. And also, stay cool, stay frosty, people. So, until next time. And remember, Rangers, may the power protect you.